Hey, how's it going? I'm Matt Richardson, and this is my entry for the failure competition. I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to do this originally. However, over the last few years, I realized that you don't really know who you are until you experience some sort of failure. So here's my story. My story is a fairly unique one. My biggest successes and my biggest failures kind of go hand in hand. Even to this day, my parents will talk about how when I was a little kid, I would sit and watch an entire baseball game. Now, let's be real, most people think that watching an entire baseball game is fairly boring, but I loved it. When we're little kids, we aspire to have big dreams, and I was no different. I wanted to be a professional baseball player. So that's what I set out to do. My dream started to become a reality. In high school, I was ranked as a top 100 prospect. I was committed to UCF my sophomore year. We had the number one recruiting class in the nation, and I had some Major League Baseball scouts start to approach me between my junior and senior year. I ended up being drafted by the Yankees in the 2008 Major League Baseball draft. So far this sounds like a success story, but I'll get to the bad parts. During my first full season, about halfway through, I was doing really well. It looked like I could possibly make this a career. However, one start, I just lost something. I don't know what happened, but I started getting hit really hard. And that was the first time that I really experienced some sort of failure. And I was terrible at handling it. I had no idea what to do. So I came out the next time nervous. I wanted to make a good impression. Same thing. Struggled through the rest of the year. Short, quick story, my grandparents came and watched me on one of these starts, and they were sitting over behind third base. About 15,000 people there, and I started doing pretty bad, and I started getting booed. So I looked over at my grandparents, and they're up there clapping while everybody else is booing me. That was a one-time feeling. I'll never forget that. But anyways, I couldn't wait for the season to be over. Finally made it. Next spring training come around, and the only thing I think about was, man, I hope these nerves go away. I hope I do better. But they were worse than ever. I went to Tampa for spring training. I wasn't any good. So I stayed there all year and tried to figure out what was going on. This lasted another year and a half or so, struggled. I relayed these feelings to my agent eventually, and he told me that I needed to get an MRI to see if everything was okay physically. Bad news for me, I needed shoulder surgery. So I went through another year and a half, painful rehab, trying to get back to where I was. Came back for spring training in 2013 to pitch, and I started seeing a little bit of life. I had a little bit of hope that I might still be able to play, but I knew I was probably done. And that sad day came at the end of March 2013. The Yankees VP at the time, his name was Pat Rustler, called me into his office and said, "Matty, sit down." And he really didn't take any time to tell me. He just said, "Matty, we know you've been working hard, but we're going to have to let you go." He got up, gave me a hug, and that was it. Everything I worked so hard for since I was 5 was gone, just like that. And it was really hard for me. I packed my stuff and I went home. So I moped around for a few weeks. I dreaded going back to school. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Shoot, I graduate in a couple weeks and I still don't know what I want to do. But one thing I did know is that prolonged failure definitely changed my mindset. It taught me to look at the positives in everything. And I would be a liar if I sat here and told you that I didn't want to be playing baseball anymore. However, I am excited to see where I'm going to be next. And I'm happy that I went through this, that it made me the man I am today. So I'm happy that I joined this competition. Thank you for listening, and it was nice to look back on these things that made me who I am today, and go Knights.